So,
well, it's important to fully discuss it because in the day of what today is, everybody watches a 30-second video and thinks they get the whole picture.
Right.
And that's why we started this too, because we also do 30-second videos that are confusing. But we do talk about the full
you can always watch the full episode. So.
Yeah, we do talk about the full details. And I think what really trips a lot of women up and makes them resist is that so many men just make it super aggressive when it comes to like being the leader. They make it more of like a power thing, a more of control, a more of like some sort of power trip. I've been I've been reading the serial killer book. We won't get fully into that, but I read the serial killer book, and one of the reasons that people kill people is for power and for control.
Yeah.
And so if people kill people for that, don't you think that men can get a little tripped up on like
power trips? Yeah, for sure.
Like in their relationship wanting power and control.
Yeah.
So that's why it's so important to talk about how to actually do it.
Right.
Rather than this like pseudo trying to seem like you're in control.
Exactly.
Because people automatically go to like anger and power, like, oh, I need to seem like I'm in control, then I need to yell at them and I need to put them in their place and I need to do all this aggressive stuff. And women don't want that. Men are scary.
Right.
Like I said, serial killer book. Men are scary.
Right.
And if you don't have that delicate balance, you can and you will detract women from you by being this scary, power hungry, control hungry person, because nobody wants to be with that. No woman wants to be with a man that she's afraid of.
Right. Well, and the thing about that too is that like you can win people's minds without their hearts. Right. Meaning that if you display aggressiveness and dominance, can you get a woman to submit to you and listen to what you say? Yes. Will you have won her heart in that case? Will she do what you're saying if you yell enough and if you posture enough and intimidate? Will anyone? Yeah, potentially, if you're intimidating enough. However, you'll have only won their mind but not their hearts. And so what will happen in that case is that they may do what you say, but they don't support you. They don't support it. They're not backing it. Right. And or they may or they may get into a situation where they're in an unhealthy, toxic, cycle. But my point is you won't ever have their hearts. Their heart won't be in it.
Right.
Right. And so the thing about us is I know that when I make a decision, even if you disagree with it, you're backing me and supporting me. Because your heart's in it, because you trust me, and I can feel that, right? And I don't intimidate. I don't say, you better do this, right? It doesn't.
I know who you are, and I know that you've thought about this. I know that you have a lot of wisdom. I know the things that you possess. And so it's easier for me, even if I feel like I might have the right answer, and you choose to do something different, I know who you are and I know your intentions with everything you do and all the things that you do already in our life, and show me that I know that the decision you're making is not malicious. It's not, just trying to like one up me or, because people do that stuff too. Men do that stuff too. They're like, they'll choose the opposite thing of what their woman wants just to like be petty and spite them. And I know you would never do that to me.
Or to test their power to see.
Exactly. Sure. So that is what needs to like go away, is where guys need to get out of that mindset, because it is abusive.
Right.
Like
it is.
The way, the extreme way we're talking about, and people should leave.
Right.
Like if someone's yelling at you and trying to scare you into doing what they want you to do, you should leave.
Of course. Yeah. And it's not, you might have authority in that case, but you don't have leadership.
Yeah,
right?
It's not
because
true.
Leadership and authority are also not the same thing, even though we've kind of mixed them together for simplification purposes on this podcast. But, you don't have to have authority to be a leader.
Right.
Right. But,
exactly.
But you do have to be a leader if you're in authority.
Right.
And that's why we put it that way. But another thing I was going to say too about that, in terms of like what a man has to do is, because we talked about, him actually stepping up and being more masculine than the woman. But another common scenario comes up, and this comes up in dating as well, is, I don't know, what do you want to eat? What do you want to eat? Do you want to eat
You've not heard the hack about that?
Well,
guys are getting smarter. They're like, honey, what was that place you wanted to eat the other night? And then she just says something, and then they're like, oh yeah, we're going there.
That's a pretty good. Actually, I thought it was going to be a bad hack, but that's not bad.
That's what they do.
That's clever, and that I would say that's good leadership, right? So it's like, but the point is that you just make a decision. Don't ask, right? And a smart leader will think about, oh, she really likes Italian food. I'm going to say this is where we're going. I'm not going to say, do you want to go to this? Do you want to go to that? I'm going to say, grab your purse. We're going to go to Olive Garden tonight.
Grab your purse because you're paying at Olive Garden tonight.
Yeah. The 50-50. Well, that's also, I mean, we won't go too far into that because we did a whole episode on 50-50, but it is really hard to be a man who is the leader and the authority, and a woman submits to you and trusts you when you're a 50-50 man. I'm not saying that.
Well, that's because it should be 50-50 authority. If you're doing 50-50 of the things, why wouldn't it be 50-50 authority? Why am I going to give you more authority when I'm pulling the same weight as you? And a lot of times it's, a lot of times it's more.
Right.
Because who's usually coming home and cooking dinner and taking care of the kids and doing laundry?
Right. Yeah, it's true.
Even in 50-50.
Right. So that is a problem.
So like how do you as a man in a 50-50 expect more authority or to be the leader when I'm pulling my weight and if not more weight? Then I should be the leader, right?
It's hard to argue against that, to be honest, right? So that's why, like, we got a lot of hate from some of these episodes, especially the 50-50 one. And I'm like, look, guys, and I did a video on it and people are upset about that too, but I'm like, look, hey, you can't have it both ways. If you're complaining about feminism and complaining about women and Western women and all this stuff, fine, that's fine. If you want to complain about it, I mean, you shouldn't complain and be a whiny whatever, but that's fine. But then if I say, all right, here's the solution. You want to be the man, you want to be the authority, you want a woman to submit to you, well, then be the protector and the provider and pay for all the stuff and take care of it. And they whine about that too.
Yeah.
Hey, you can't have it both ways. You know what I'm saying? If you're like, hey, I want to be 50-50, then share the responsibility.
But look at why women are so
50-50.
masculine now. Yeah. Men are so whiny. Mm-hmm. It has to balance out.
I guess so.
All right, I don't want this to turn into just like a hate sesh, but I'm just saying.
But it's true.
I am tired of all the whiny men.
But I don't have a problem if someone wants to say, no, we're doing a 50-50 relationship. You guys are fun or whatever, but we're doing a partnership and we're both in charge and we're both equal partners and there's no leader and no follower. If someone wants to do that, I don't think it's the best way, but I don't have a problem with that if you're consistent. Mm-hmm. But if you're now trying to say, I'm the authority, and then you want to be 50-50 on everything else. Now it's inconsistent, right? It's like, or if a woman's,
it's have your cake and eat it too. Right. You want the benefits of one thing while not pulling your weight in the other part.
Right. And you'll see, without getting too far off topic and changing the rating on this podcast, but what you will see a lot is in a lot of relationships today where women want a 50-50. They want a 50-50 in terms of they want to be just as masculine as the man, right? Mm-hmm. They don't call it masculine. They just want to be the same, right? Mm-hmm. You will find that except the bedroom, then they want a dominance, right? That is there. And that's where it borderlines on the unhealthy, because that's where it becomes almost abusive.
Well, how can you like shift? My whole thing with that is how can you shift back and forth? Because regardless, we've had other conversations about this, not like to go too far into that, but it's like you have it's like the same thing as you have a loving relationship and then in the bedroom you want somebody to like punch you in the face. Right. Like, how do you go from one extreme to the other? And being like masculine here, but submissive here, that's still very much the extreme. And I get that like it's a different like intimate time, but it still doesn't add up.
Right. It's a psychological rift in what it comes from. If you want my psychoanalysis on it, is it comes from a woman's natural instinct to want a dominant man and to want to submit to that man and to trust him and to have him be the authority and lead her. But because she believes, whether based on society or whatever it is, or she hasn't found a strong enough man, that everybody should be equal and there's no roles and all this stuff, okay, then to make up for it, that need that's still inside her. She lives her normal life as if she's a man and he's a man, almost. You know what I'm saying? Where they're equal, they're the same. Better than